Is your law firm just doing the work? Are you working with purpose? Without a strong mission statement, you are flying blind. You're wasting time, money, and energy on misaligned growth. Let's fix that. My name is Tyler Dolph. I am the CEO of Rocket Clicks, a full-service, hyper-focused digital marketing firm that exclusively works with family law firms trying to grow their firms by attracting more clients and converting more leads. Today, I am joined by Anthony Karls and JP VanderLinden. Anthony is our president here at Rocket Clicks, but also the co-founder of our law firm, Sterling Lawyers, which is a 32-attorney family law firm spread across Wisconsin and Illinois. He brings a wealth of leadership experience in scaling law firms and building high-performance teams, as well as JP VanderLinden. And JP is our head of operations and client service here at the agency and is a thought leader in operational excellence and talent development. JP is our rock when it comes to developing amazing leaders here at Rocket Clicks, and these gentlemen are here to help us talk through building a mission. We are going to dive into the 5 essential elements of a powerful mission statement. We'll break down what mission statements are effective, why it matters for your family law firm, and how to craft one that actually drives decisions and results. We will talk about a download that is available both on our website and will also be in the show notes, so look out for that. Otherwise, enjoy this episode. All right, guys, we're starting a law firm from scratch. We probably need a why behind why we're starting it. And so today we're talking all about mission, how to create a compelling mission, why law firms need a mission. We've thankfully been through this exercise a few times, both at our law firm, Sterling Lawyers, as well as our agency, Rocket Clicks. And I think what we've found over the years is that if you just put a vanilla mission together, it's really hard to get people behind it. It's hard to get excited about it. You find that you're never using it in team communication. You're never tying back to it. But conversely, when you have an exciting mission, a mission that you can really get behind, it literally changes the culture. It becomes the North Star for your firm, for your business. And we've gone through quite the transformation at our own business, and really aligning on a mission has allowed us to create a lot of momentum by having a shared fate, a shared goal. And so I'm excited to talk to you gentlemen about this concept today. Tony, I'm going to turn to you first to give us a little why. Why does a company, why does a firm need a mission in the first place?
I think it's the base level foundation of everything you're going to do. In a previous episode we talked about the framework of align, develop, and transition. It's a great framework, but if you don't have a mission, you don't have vision, you don't have values, you're kind of going to be, trying to navigate a boat pretty rudderless. You're going to be going all over the place. What it looks like is there's nothing that you're going to be able to leverage from a marketing perspective. There's from a recruiting perspective, from a team member development perspective, from a systems and process duplication perspective. Like everything becomes, well, we could do this because we don't have a very clear mission. At Sterling, our mission for Sterling Lawyers was empower family law clients. So everything we did centered around how do we empower family law clients. So that's how we thought about our marketing materials. That's how we thought about our pricing. That's how we thought about our communication. That's how we thought about everything. So everything went through that lens. And that gave us so much opportunity because it allowed us to attract the right people. It allowed us to market easier. It allowed us to build systems internally that are all about empowering family law clients. So I think it's extraordinarily important in so many different ways. It's the foundation of your business.
I love the narrative around the lens, leveraging it as, if we do this, will it get us closer or further away from the stated goal, from the mission? JP, I know you've worked at a few different businesses. Any examples on ones that have had a good mission or maybe more of a vanilla one and that didn't go so well?
Yeah, I think I've probably experienced a spectrum over the course of my career, like most folks. I've worked at companies where the owners basically said, we have a business because we want to make money. That was kind of the end of it. And I will tell you that from an employee standpoint, that's super unmotivating because I'm not excited about helping the owner make money. I'm just not. So didn't really jack me up, right? There were some where they had missions, but they were like 14 sentences long and they hung on a wall in a plaque and they'd been there for 25 years. And it was just like, I don't know. It felt like it didn't touch my day to day at all. And then, I've seen it used exactly as we just discussed, which is where it is used as a lens for every key decision in the organization. And I do think that is one key differentiator is that your mission is an internal facing statement. It is the same as your brand externally. And so your brand should push people away if it's done well. It should push customers away. They go, oh, this isn't for me, right? It should be strong. If you think about like car brands, like certain car brands have certain like ways that they appeal to the market. And like if that's not what you're into, you're not going to get pulled towards that. Like the reason that you choose the Honda instead of the Mazda is because you resonate more with the brand, because at the end of the day, it has 4 wheels, a motor, and it gets you from A to B. And so everything else is about how you feel. Well, similarly, the mission is facing internal. So it's all about your team and their decision-making and who you attract from a talent standpoint. And so like seeing it done really well makes it really obvious when you've seen it done not well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge part of building a great culture. And when you have a shitty mission, it's not going to help create a great culture. So it's the idea here is, hey, you need a mission. Now help us understand how this mission delivers value. Like, how do you create a great mission, and what does that entail?
So I think the first thing is it has to start with, the visionary in the org really defining the greater purpose. And I alluded to this earlier, but like it shouldn't involve money. So Tony gave the example of empowering family law clients. There's nothing about that about making money. Now, if you do it well, you will make money and you will grow, but that's not the point. That's more of a side benefit. And so really think about like, if you had all the money in the world and that was not a thing anymore, would you still get up and do this? And if so, why? Like, what's the thing? And so, there's things related to impact and giving back and, fixing a broken system. And there's all kinds of reasons. It kind of doesn't matter as much what it is, but you have to be super clear on it because you as the visionary and the leader are going to have to champion that mission every day with your team. You're going to have to keep reinforcing it, keep bringing it up, keep helping the team remind it, rewarding against it when they memorize it and when they repeat it back to you, when they live it out. And so if you're not excited about it, there's zero chance your team's going to get excited about it. So that's probably the first place I'd start.
I think, Tony, we have a lot of law firm clients, and obviously we have our own firm here. And some attorneys we talk to, they just want to be the best attorney. But to me, that's not a mission, because you're only a single person and potentially you're leading more than just yourself. And so how does a family law firm owner craft a mission that can be compelling, not just for themselves, but for their entire firm?
I would say a good way to think about it is what problem in the marketplace are you solving? And like, that's going to become your purpose and your why and like the biggest thing you're passionate about. So, any practitioner, attorney, electrician, carpenter, pick random trade, pick random service business. Just being the best isn't that's like, okay, that's what we should all attain, like drive to attain, like the best at what? Because there's different parts of this marketplace. So, if you're a really accomplished attorney and you're a great networker and that's something you're passionate about and you want to kind of be the person in your state for all the, celebrity / high profile divorce cases, your service is going to look very different than Sterling Lawyers, because we are going after kind of the middle of the market where households are between 75 and 250,000 a year. We're actively not looking for those big files because they should have a different service path. It should feel more boutique. It should feel more customized. It should feel a different way than what we're doing because it's a different clientele. So I think it's really important to like think about what problem in the marketplace are you trying to solve, and then really rapidly go after that. Like for us, what we felt like at Sterling, we wanted to see the clients feel more empowered. And we went through client sentiment across the industry. Things they didn't like about the industry was the attorneys weren't great at communication. They didn't feel like they were in control of their case. They felt like they didn't understand why they were paying what they were paying. There's a lot of like, I don't understand, which is why we very specifically chose the word empower so that they could make better decisions. Because oftentimes in a family law case, like you get to the place where you're kind of haggling over some pretty insignificant pieces. And for us, one of the reasons we went to fixed fees, we wanted to put the client in a position where they could say, this is actually important for me and I am going to pay $25,000 for it. Or this isn't that important to me. I can give this up and negotiate because I don't want to pay more money. Like, and really put them in the driver's seat versus, what we see in the marketplace, which is a lot of hourly. I don't know how much it's going to cost for us to argue for this last little piece. And you can't really make the decision. Is this something that I really care about? And is it worth the cost? What's the cost benefit and all of that? So I think figure out what you want to solve in the marketplace, I think is a really good place to start. Make it simple. JP, you mentioned like 14 sentences. Like there's a lot of that out there. Nobody remembers it and it loses its meaning. Like what's the one sentence that's super short and simple and uses common language? So
it's got to only be one sentence.
That's we'll have a worksheet that'll come along with this podcast that we'll present. But yeah, it's pretty prescriptive on how to think about writing this. But one sentence is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's funny how when we've done this in the past and we've tried and failed a number of times in building a mission that we feel like we can be excited about and also have the team be excited. And for me personally, it all came down to really being able to be okay with the fact that like it starts at the top. It starts with the ownership group. They got to be excited because they got to live it and feel it and be able to communicate and almost have it like ooze out of them so that it feels genuine. I know that when I started, I kind of overtook a mission that was there that I didn't help create, and it didn't feel like me. And so it was really hard to get behind it, which I think is a difficult task if it's not your business to start with. And so what I hear you saying is we need to encourage our listeners and law firm owners to really look introspectively about what type of firm they want to create, both today and in the future, and how do they craft a mission around that.
Because it'll help attract talent. It'll help move the needle in a lot of ways. Like if you don't have one and you create one, an expectation should be that not everyone's going to like it. So now you probably actually landed on something, and like part of your tribe doesn't really want to accomplish what you want to accomplish. They have a different mission of their own. They're not really aligned with yours, so they're not going to actually help you push yours forward. And the lesson is you can't be everything to everyone. It's not an option. Like you can try to be, and you're going to end up being average and unknown, and kind of have a middling type business. That's what it'll look like versus very sharp, very clear, very passionate business that can do a lot in the marketplace in a very particular area.
100%. I think, okay, so for those of you listening who don't know us as well yet, Tony and I are very future-based, quick decision makers. We like to move very fast. And thankfully, we have our man JP here to help slow us down a little bit, help us understand what's happening in the organization on a day-to-day perspective. And I can remember the three of us sitting in a room crafting our message. And Tony and I are like, yes, it's fine. It's good as is. And JP would say, no, guys, this word, this single word in the sentence isn't right yet. And I'm so thankful that JP, you were able to stand up and force us to really think through it, because it allowed us to land on something that we can really be passionate about. So JP, tell us a little bit about maybe that experience or the importance of taking the time. You only have one sentence, so you got to craft that thing and think about every word.
Yeah, so I would say that, we mentioned earlier the founder, the visionary leader of the organization is going to have to carry the inspiration, the belief part of this. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the right person to do the wordsmithing on it. In fact, there's a good chance that that's not the right person and they need to bring the other people in. And so what I would encourage is don't make this a solo exercise. Like, don't feel like you have to do it yourself just because you're the business leader. And in fact, it should be a group effort of kind of the key voices in the company, the ones you trust, because you're going to get the expertise of those people who are super detailed or in super nitty gritty, who care a lot about word choices. And, well, this word means this to me. Is this what you meant by this? So if you kind of set the general direction and say this is where I want to go with this, and then hand it off to somebody to kind of polish it up and fine tune all the stuff, that's a great use of all the resources on your team. And I think it's because what we're trying to do is get to something that's very compact and very, it's kind of like the best technology, right? You get really excited when you have technology that's very small and has nothing extraneous going on, right? It does exactly what it's supposed to do, doesn't try to be anything else, and stays very focused. That's what you want out of your statement. I'll pick on a couple companies here. So I'm going to read you two different mission statements. I want to see which one seems like it would land for you. The first one is, this company will provide high value added logistics, transportation, and related end-to-end business services through a fully integrated digital and physical network to ultimately yield superior financial returns for its share owners. Are you not excited? I don't even know
what they do.
So great,
what does that mean?
Right? Okay. Second brand wants to create technology that empowers people and enriches their lives. One of those is going to stick in your brain. The other one is not. The first company was FedEx, and the second company was Apple. And so one of those has a very strong, very compelling brand. The other one, less so. And so this stuff matters. Word choice matters, because if you're only going to have 6, 8, 10, 12 words, we recommend 15 or less. If you're going to stay under 15 words, every word has to count. And so you want to take the time to agonize over, is enrich the right word? Is empower the right word? Is dominate the right word? How are we going to say this in the way that our team's going to get behind and be able to use this for, and we're going to get excited about? So go slow to go fast. Take your time. Don't rush through it. Don't try to get it done in an afternoon. Spend the time on it, deliberate with it, sit with it, because then you want to be able to not change it. Because the other thing that is not great is if you're at a company that changes the mission every 3 to 5 years, we got a new one. It gives your team whiplash. And they're I don't know. This is not what I signed up for. They're going to bail out. So spend the time so you don't have to spend the time later.
Yeah, I'm now, just as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about what happened when we built ours, and we sat in the room and we did the thing, and at the end of the day, we thought, okay, that feels pretty good. We went to dinner or whatever. And I remember the next day, one of our leadership team members was this part of it just isn't sitting right with me. And it was so much better after we had, the night to sleep on it, and we came back to it with fresh eyes. So what I hear you guys saying is just take your time, do it right, get really excited, so that you can build that excitement behind it. Now, if we're building a great mission statement, one thing that we talk about is wanting it to be easy to memorize and repeat. And I think we've seen this where it'll come up in conversation, or we're shouting a team member out on an all-team meeting, and we're able to tie it back to that mission because everyone kind of knows it, right? So how do you make it easy to memorize and repeatable?
So we've already talked about it being brief. That's going to be part of it, because it's hard to memorize long things. The other thing is choosing words that are in your team's lexicon, right? I give you the example of FedEx. They're talking about like yielding high-end logistics end to end. It's like, maybe they're talking that way internally, maybe they're not, right? So you want to pick the words that your team's going to know how to use, feel comfortable how to use, has a cadence to it, keep it fairly short. And then the other piece is what makes something easy to memorize is spending the time to memorize it. And so you're going to have to make this a part of the rituals of your organization. You're going to have to say, hey, every morning we're going to do this, or every Wednesday we're going to do this, or at the end of our all team meetings, we're always going to do this. And like, this is how we're going to get the team engaged in it. We're going to use it for shouting people out. We're going to put it into these emails. We're going to recite it as a group. Does it feel a little weird and awkward at first because we're trying to, yeah, but like the great places to work, they take their mission very seriously and they work it into everything. And they use as a lens to say, hey, if you weren't on board with this, go find someplace else where you are, because we only want people who are passionate about this. And so like, make it short, use words that people actually use and understand, spend the time with your team to help them actually learn it in practice, and then reward them when they do. Don't just make it an idle thing.
Yeah, Tony, how do we use it in our day-to-day, both here and at the firm?
Yeah, so we implement it a little differently at the law firm than we do at the agency, just as we've evolved the process here. But we have an all hands meeting every day. It's 20 minutes long. So that's how we start our day. And then on Tuesday mornings, we read through our mission, vision, values in some way. Sometimes it's a more fill in the blank quiz. Sometimes we popcorn read it. Sometimes we, talk about what it means and examples of different parts of what it means. So we try to keep it, interesting. And at the firm, we do something very similar where we read what we call our vivid vision, which includes our mission, vision, and values, once a week in our weekly L10s. So it's something that you have to be intentional about, try to drive, because it will get lost and then everybody will kind of drift. So like, a good way to think about it is when you're building a team and building a culture, after you as the leader say something, everybody's together. But immediately after, everyone starts drifting. So if you talk about your mission one time when they onboard, just imagine how far they've drifted off your mission because you said it one time at onboarding a year and a half ago. Versus if you're doing it every week, like you say, here's our mission. We come back together. The team's going to go apart, and then you bring it back. Go apart, bring it back, and like what you're going to see is like, we're going to stay way more on track, way more towards the North Star than, Johnny's this way, Barbara's this way, and, Tyler went the opposite direction. So we're not even going, north, we're going south now. So like, it just creating it into the rituals. I like that word, JP. I think it's super important.
Yeah, 100%. I think, we always talk about that our team has to hear something 7 times before they hear it the first time. And so the more different, fun, creative ways we can share our vision, hopefully one of those times someone hears it and internalizes it and thinks about it. I think one other thing that we haven't touched on is how we once a month will deep dive into the why behind the mission. JP, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So giving somebody a sentence to memorize is one thing, but if you want to inspire behavior and belief, they're going to have such a vivid picture of what that is in practice, how it looks, that they can visualize it, they can own it, and it can actually cause behavior difference. And so if you're going to say, we're going to enrich people's lives, give examples of what that looks like. How are we doing it in the day-to-day? What are some cases we've accomplished it? What are some places it could look like for us to accomplish it in the future? If you're going to say that we want to change the world, to what? Let's talk about how that's going to play out. Like, you're going to have to make it real for your team, for them to emotionally connect to it. And so, one of the things we do is we share wins with our team. And so if we say that we're going to, accomplish whatever, help our clients do this or that, we then have to bring examples, right? Because they have to know what good looks like, and they have to be like, oh, we're accomplishing it. We're doing it. We're actually living out the thing we say we're going to do. Because to go back to your first point, Tyler, you said, what are some companies, some places you've been where you do it badly? Most people are pretty cynical on this stuff because most companies don't do it well. And so when you actually do it well, you say we're going to do this, and then you use as your lens, and then you go do it, people pay attention. They go, oh, they're serious. They actually mean it. And the trust in the leadership goes up. The belief in the cause goes up. The commitment goes up. And that only happens after you've been able to say, hey, this is reality. This isn't just words. This is an actual practice that it looks like. Talk about it and how that implements. And so we do it. We have a monthly meeting where we bring the whole team together, and a dedicated portion of that is, Tyler, you lead that. You help the team see the crystallized vision of our mission in practice in the day-to-day, to remind them, to avoid that drift that Tony talked about, like, hey, this is what we're doing and why, and this is what it looks like, to keep people excited.
Yeah, I have to say it's my favorite part of every month is the opportunity to deep dive into the why behind the work that we're doing. So I think our employees sometimes get stuck in the messy middle, get stuck in the, okay, well, here's just another Wednesday that I got to do the thing and work with the people. But by tying everything back to our mission, to helping family law firms grow their business and their firm, it really helps crystallize the why behind why we're here.
Yeah, I would say at the law firm, this was one of the things that we added to our weekly rhythms is the two things. So one is at our all hands each week, we read reviews and like, what are they about? How did we empower our clients? And like, the bigger you get, the more you can read, and it just like it fuels the team, because especially in a family law firm where a lot of the situations that you're working through, they're really hard. Like they're hard. They don't always feel like wins. So having your team hear how well we're doing in certain cases with clear examples is super motivating. And then the other thing we do, because that's kind of live shout outs. We call it our practice brief, and it's a newsletter that we send to the team once a week. And it's one of the things it highlights is what clients are saying about us. And we put a lot of effort and attention on that because it's motivating to the team. It's us getting feedback from the marketplace that we're actually living out our mission and having an impact. And that drives behavior, it drives performance, it makes an impact.
I love it. So whether you're starting a brand new firm and you have the opportunity to create your very first mission, or you've been in business for a long time and this is an opportunity to refresh that mission, I encourage you to take it seriously and know the impact it will have on your firm, on your employees, and ultimately on your clients. Gentlemen, really appreciate your time today, and looking forward to seeing you next time on the Revenue Roadmap. As we mentioned, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to get the free download, it will be available in our show notes and also on our website. And if you found this episode on the importance of a mission statement, you will love our next episode on the importance of the mission, vision, and values, which we continue to dive a little bit deeper into. So make sure to check it out here as well as in the show notes below. Thanks.